Now we're back.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. So, in about 10 minutes, we have the second round of our Lusophone special, which I've decided is our word of the day here at
Ooh,
Screech from Bomb Towers.
very nice. I hope you're adding it
Um,
to the list.
I will add it to the list. It's been a while since we had a new word for the day, hence I am shamelessly crowbarring this one in. And we have Jfilipeg from United Archons Prime versus Mentol from the French Keyforge Association, AFK. Having commentated both of these players before and played against Mentol several times myself in this tournament, I can tell you that we are in for quite a match because all of their decks are very strong. So, should we get some of them up on the screen?
Yes. Shall we
There's
start with J
tentatively.
Philipeg's because that's the one I've set up.
Go for it then. Philip it is. So that
Okay.
we'll. So here we have much improved Nora of the Subway, Countess Bentactwiz Holmes, and Der Eiskönig des Funkels. So starting with much improved Noor, we have miserable looking mass mutation. Dis, it's been banned 5 times, I think for a good reason, because it looks a nightmare. So you've got Eaton's Jar, which is obviously game-winningly broken in of itself. You've got Mark of Dis, you have triple Stirring Grave to go with an Infernus, 2 Bone Nithings, Rad Pennies, Pierce Key Frogs, all sorts of stuff you want to bring back. And I think it will resolve around the Pincerator. Obviously,
Ooh.
just, yeah, eating through your opponent's creatures and also killing off anything you might want to bring back. And that's going to combo particularly well with the Brabble and the Rad Penny, obviously. And uh, you either have a Keyfrog Pincerator finish, a Keyfrog Savage Clash, or some Obsidian Forge finish. So I don't think we're going to see this today. Because it's probably going to get banned, if I'm to guess. Then we have Countess Bentactwiz Holmes, which has, I don't think, ever been banned. It has not, and it has gone 4-4, so a medium record. Won some games, lost some games. I think that's partly because of the minus 3.5 speed, rendering it hilariously vulnerable to mad draws. But it is a Kota Dish Shadows Untamed deck, so as you might expect, is pretty damn good and does the things you would think. You have a potentially massive Arise play in the Dis, bring back a lot of annoying creatures. You have a Shadows that is pretty much just steal and a potentially useful customs office, and then uh, a bunch of nasty combos in the Untamed that will generate you a whole bunch of Ember.
So,
Also, not sorry, go.
um, yeah, I'm just noting the Depent Seed in here. When you've got the Drumball and Arise and the Depent Seed, there's a lot of Drumball based shenanigans that have potential to happen.
Absolutely. Interesting. That could be very fun. And yeah, you've got your sort of Witch of the Eye to bring back that Nepenthe Seed. Several other useful tools in the Untamed, stuff like Curiosity for dealing with annoying Logos boards, Grasping Vines for dealing with artifacts. And the artifact control in the deck overall is very high because you've got a Poltergeist, a Grasping Vines, a Customs Office, and a Snudge. So it's just going to make your life very difficult if you're playing an artifact-based deck, which quite a few people do. Um, Then we have the final one, which is this deck, which translates to the Ice King of Sparkles,
Oh, that's lovely.
which is a very lovely name
Funkelms.
uh,
Sparkles.
for a mean-looking deck because this deck has 25 Ember control, which is so much, just so much. And so I sat down to like work out where it all was, and you have a tribute with 3 Ludos and a Scutum. So you just never get any of that back. Double Gallum. You have 2 Edis and a hologramophone to ward that, and a Mimic Gel for a third one. Sort of double information exchange. And then that's before we've even got to the shadows, which is double Ronnie, a Brand, a Manchego, a Trust Note, like all sorts of the Steely Worlds Collide shadows, as well as 2 Hawks to essentially mess up artifacts even more.
And I guess
Different.
the all-star of this deck is the lat shift, right?
Indeed, it is. That was my final note. Because you don't necessarily see that very often, so if we can hover over it to flag it up to our lovely
Yes, of
audience.
course. There we go.
You have lateral shift, where you pretty much just take your opponent's best card out of their hand and then play it for yourself, which is real mean.
And the thing is, in this level of competition, you're always going to get something good.
Yeah, it's a card that increases in power the better your opponent's decks are. And so you can use it to take out a lot of good things. The deck is potentially light on creature control, but you have the Ember control to basically make up for that. It doesn't matter how much you reap if you can just take it all away from them. So let's have a look at Mentol's decks briefly.
Yes. Here they
I
are.
want a whistle stop tour. So going from left to right, we're going to start off with Bertrand, which translates as Bertrand, Inventor of the Fiery Jungle. This deck has gone 7-2 in the KFPL, which is pretty good going. And I think I would go as far as saying, it might be because I've lost to it horribly several times in this tournament, but I think it is one of the best, if not the best, AoE deck that I have seen, possibly in the world. I think maybe beaten out by the notorious Sasha, but that's pretty much it. Like, you have 4 Ronnie wrist locks and 3 helper bots, which in of itself is a lot. Then you have hugely quick Ember generation. The helper bots let you do a lot of degenerate combos with sort of Nature's Call and other things going on. And so it generates Ember at an insane pace. And then you can usually finish it off with Soldiers to Flowers, Shota Hasri. I've seen this deck play a bunch of times, both against me and watching it, and I've yet to see it not win a game. Yet to not win or lose a game before it's gone through the deck. Just to sort of purge out, gain 7 Ember, and then Shota. And it will just do that very consistently, very quickly, very well. So then we have the Agent of Ratcot, which is a Worlds Collide deck. Basically revolves around setting up some sort of massive TMTP hit. Because you have lots of things which push up your opponent's key cost to the point where you can hit them with TMTP. So you've got double E-Die with the Hologramophone. You've got some Gallons. You've got a Trick Semper combo. You have Trust No One, Brand Ronnie Wrist Clocks. So lots of things which basically just nudge your or key cost up a whole bunch before you slam them with the TMTP. And that is very difficult to avoid. This has also not been banned because the deck that has been banned every single time is the Mass Mutation deck. Because, again, we have all of the sort of greatest hits of misery in the disc with the Eaton's Jar and in Furnaces. But on top of this, you have triple Bone Kniving alongside a bunch of other Steel and a Borrow, and then a Logos that's going to cycle through that very quickly with an Ultra Gravitron as well, just for added bonuses. So basically, none of Mentol's opponents have allowed that through, leaving him to have a pretty good time with the other 2 decks, with Bertrand having gone 7-2 and Ratcot having gone 6-2 with 7 full bans for Shan.
And Mentol must be one of the few competitors in this season to not have a Coda deck in their lineup.
I think so. Yeah, there's a couple of others, but mostly people have a Coda deck, usually some form of Shadows Logos X. But I think it's the inclusion of the AOA deck that makes it unusual. That being the least popular set. We do now have a game up, and I have some bans coming through. What do you think got banned here?
I mean, I think Mentol bans the Eaton Jar deck on the other side, because he's got so many doubles and triples that it just becomes a nightmare.
Quadruples.
But I'm not sure about Jfilipeg's ban. I mean, probably Shan.
You are, in fact, correct. They have both banned the Eden Star deck.
Okay, so have a little look for this game.
They gave us the password, which was Swordfish, because it's always Swordfish.
Always Swordfish. can switch the scene back to the Crucible.
As we enter the Crucible.
Yes.
Big Friday Night Keyforge.
Oh lord.
So this is the second of our KFPL top 16, and we have, I believe, all of the other. Actually, it's the second and third. We had one last night. The remaining 5 are all on Sunday. So first up, we have Bertrand versus the Ice King.
Of Sparkle.
Ice King of Sparkles.
Mentol gets to go first. Gets swift mulligans from both players. And got a turn 1 Pampacker anger. Oh, well, it's Pampacker.
So we have 28 expected Ember versus 25 Ember control. So let's see who comes out on top here. Jfilipeg sitting down with a nice early E-die.
And we've got Gizmo on the board, going to...
Help a bot. Going into some logo shenanigans already. Help a bot into a Ronnie Wristlocks.
And all of these little creatures are coming down extra chonky because of the Pampacker.
That is indeed a 4-power Ronnie Wristlocks off the Help a bot. Such chunk. The Strange Gizmo coming down early, I think, would be pretty good for Mentol in this matchup. Because obviously that's one of the big board clears and one of the biggest pieces of creature control in Bertrand.
Yes, but I don't know if you necessarily want it out for the first key, especially if you're ahead.
Maybe. So we're just gonna sucker punch the Jargoggle.
Yes, unfortunately can't sucker punch the Helper bot.
But is gonna fight the Ida off the board with Big Ronnie.
Big Ronnie. We know him.
I think that's a sports reference, Big Ron.
I have no idea.
We are gonna see 2 more Ronnie Wristlocks and a Nerve Blast, just to take all of that Ember away.
Yep. Mentol on 5, Jfilipeg on 0, going into turn 3.
Potentially a problem in that 3 out of the 4 Ronnies have come very early, leaving him lacking in Ember control later.
I suppose it's how quickly he cycles, right?
Yeah, if the game even goes that long, which I don't think I've seen this deck cycle before. We are going to see a Thorium Plasmate come down from Jfilipeg just to take out some things. Mimic Gels a Ronnie, which is very nice, just to steal an Ember of his own. Well, that's it for the turn. So perhaps not getting the best draws. More shadows from Mentol. I assume we're going to start off with a Sucker Punch.
Can take out that Mimic Gel.
Yeah, and obviously the more small creatures appear, the more that Sucker Punch just becomes consistent Ember generation. Gonna get some Reaps with the Ronnies. Yep. And Ronnie number 4. And he's just gonna ding one of the Ronnies with the Throwing Stars.
No.
Oh, no. Decides not to. That's interesting.
Perhaps not wanting to add insult to injury. Jfilipeg plays down a couple of cards, and the Strange Gizmo procs on the next turn and wipes the board.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice to play the Hologramophone there, knowing that it's just going to go away.
I mean, he gets the amber from it.
He does. Mentol going straight back into Logos very quickly. He's going to cycle with some lab works. He's going to put something secret under Jargoggle. Who knows what?
As long as it's not a Scowly Caper, it's fine.
Jargoggle. I don't know.
It was a Chota!
Ooh, and that's a big hit with the Chimeral Eclipse there. Him losing the Chodo is potentially massive in terms of the overall match. He does have a Song of Spring to recycle it, but obviously he's got to be unhappy that he wasn't able to just archive that in the nice place. Ooh, is it a Nature's Call the Brand and drop a Dusk Witch? And this is potentially a big problem because the removal in Ice King is not good. With the Chimeral Eclipse gone and one of the Thorium Plasmates gone, unless he has the other one, he could have problems getting that Dusk Witch off the board. It's going to go Saurian, so maybe a Stomp. There it is.
Ideal.
Okay. Dusk Witch is not causing problems. We will see if losing that Chota under the Jargoggle comes back to haunt Mentol. I think it could. So I think we really wanted to get that in the archive or play it on a Logos turn. obviously, in terms of the overall match, Mentol is racing away here. Jfilipeg, I don't think has got to check yet. Has just been sort of trying to deal with the obscene amounts of Ember being put out by Bertrand.
Yep,
Chooses
so
to,
Mentol just cycling manages to get rid of the Race Gallum.
chooses to discard the Subtle Maul, which I don't.
Um, I suppose he doesn't want it hocked, because that would give Jfilipeg
Yeah, that's true.
a little bit of
Thinks
an amber
he's,
boost.
and it's I think a race at this point.
Mm.
Or Bertrand almost always plays in a race. Edai stopping the key, I think. Yes, going to push the cost to 9. The thing is, nothing in the Ice King really punishes going high. So I think Mentol can just keep putting out huge amounts of Ember. He's going to play a Helper Bot next to an Archimedes. Could see Life for Life. Nope, no Life for Life. He's going to play the Song of Spring.
Yes, so get that Chota reshuffled into the draw pile. Clears out all of his hand.
Sets up the Helper Bot and the Jargogel next to one another. Ready for some good archiving.
Mm-hmm.
Just check at 9 with the Gallum. Jfilipeg goes Shadows, so maybe we're going to see some stealing here. 2 Ronnies still about. 1 short, 1 tall. That's an old reference that no one's going to get.
I'm sure more than one person will get it. I got it, but I was on push to talk.
It's very British. Just discarding Simon, discarding Brent. I guess. Doesn't want it to Sucker Punch, doesn't want it throwing stars, but will play the Ronnie.
Or Nature's Called, I suppose.
Or Nature's Called, yeah. Although we've already seen the Nature's Call.
Yes, that's true.
So Mentol sitting on 7, keys costing 9 with the Edai. We have not yet seen Soldiers to Flowers. We also have not yet seen many untamed creatures. Jfilipeg has finally got to check for the first time.
Yeah.
He's sort of struggling to keep up with the sheer pace from Mentol's deck here.
Yeah, I mean, initially it was the board control that came from the chunky creatures. Now Mentol's just accelerated, and he's starting to... I feel like Jfilipeg has only drawn like 2/2/2 the whole game.
Yeah, it's not felt like he's got good hands. Especially as he hasn't had a huge amount of logos either. So we are going to see another logos turn from Mentol. Has the option of fighting with that Jargogel to release whatever's underneath it.
And also fighting the Helper Bot, get that into the archives. Then you can Helper Bot her Chota. So options.
It's going to play Dana with the Jargogel, just for an extra Ember Burst. Then just fights the Edai off the board with the Helper Bot, which will go back to his archives. Goes up to 11 Ember. With potentially a very large Soldiers to Flowers Chota happening any minute. Saurian from Jfilipeg picks up his archives, so we'll see what is going big now. Does get key 1, Jfilipeg, so is on his way. Forges for 6. If it feels like I'm being excessively pro-mental, I'm sorry. It's that I lost to this deck a bunch, so it's just very nice to see someone else on the receiving end of this a little bit. Is going to hit the Tribute, but onto a Ludo, which is not ideal. It's going to chant of Hubris or something. Does he have another Ludo to protect this?
I mean, there are several in the deck, aren't there? Oh, we've got a lateral shift.
Ooh, a lateral shift. What's he going to get here? Ooh, I really want to know what the options are.
The Chota!
Chooses to sacrifice 1 Ember just to get rid of that Chota. And that's pretty big.
Yeah, that is a huge decision there for Jfilipeg. It keeps him in the game.
I think it absolutely does, yeah. Fights the research smoker off the board and puts the Scootum on the Ludo.
Fantastic.
I think that's a huge turn in this overall game. Like, Mentol went from 11 Ember forging for 6 to check key cost being at 9 and him losing 4 Ember, possibly irreversibly, to the Scootum on the Ludo. And then, kick of it all, losing the Chota. And with the Nature's Call already used, it might be a while before he sees that back. So, potentially real big archive for Mentol. He's got, I think, a Jargoggle, a Helper Bot, and a Reset Smoker in there, thanks to the Archimedes, as well as whatever was put in with the lab work earlier. Presumably now doing a big rethink in that the Chota is suddenly gone.
I mean, he's just about to reshuffle. Unfortunately, nothing is chunky enough to get rid of that Chota Hazri right now. Nature's Call is in the discard, so
yeah, so he's got it on archive and it's going Logos. So we're going to see a bunch of shenanigans happen here as he's going to play a lot of cards.
Given that the Chota Hazri is out of the way, is actually a good time to play Soldiers to Flowers.
Yeah, because it will remain. It's going to help about a full moon in to get Ember from the remaining creatures that come down on the board. It's going to play an Igor, gets an Ember, looks at some cards, discards some untamed creatures. Another Helper Bot, gets another Ember with the full moon. He's now going to be the Soldiers to... Yep, there's the Soldiers to Flowers before the reshuffle. Research Smoker, another... Oh my god, this is brutal. Has got 4 Ember off the full moon from the first Helper Bot and another 5 from the Soldiers to Flowers. Just goes to 17.
Incredible burst there.
Yeah, and from a Logos turn as well, by dropping 2 untamed cards. So, 17 Ember. What's the Ice King got in response? Whole bunch of Ember control. We have a Rita Gallum, which we could see reap twice with the Spiral.
Yep, so that is a +3 each
but
time.
has gone Shadows. We have options for Manchego. We have options for Ronnie Wristclocks, I think. There's the Manchego. There's the Trust No One.
Javinda can ping one of the Helper Bots and then steal an Amber from that. The Ronnie gets the Reap from the Ronnie.
Hawk. So Jfilipeg punching back in terms of his own burst here. Very crucially gets rid of the Seismo Entangler. So that can't be used to prevent Rita Gallum from ramping up the key costs. And he goes to 11 Ember himself, so we might see Jfilipeg drag this back almost somewhat unexpectedly. Losing that Chota, obviously a huge deal in terms of the overall match. Just removes his ability to cheat out keys and get past the colossal amounts of Ember control in the Ice King. Is now taking a pause, I believe. My connection's still okay, I think.
Yes, yeah.
He's doing a think. What about? Discards the other Hawk and just says GG. I suppose it's relatively easy here for Mentol to fight off the Gallum, but has not done this. That was a very... Okay, he's got a life for a life something, and presumably now hit... Yeah, okay, there we go. I was a little worried Jfilipeg had conceded early there. Yeah, Jfilipeg saying this draw was unbelievable at the beginning of the game, which I think reflected the like really slow start I think that was
Yeah.
going on. All right, game one goes to Mentol and the AFK.
I mean, yeah, that AOA deck, the level of efficiency is just absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and it performs like that pretty much every time you see it. And also just in different ways. Like I hadn't necessarily seen the big helper bot full moon combo.
Yeah, that was pretty great. So, Mentol's going to move on to the Agent of Ratcot, the World's Collide deck. Is that right?
Yes. Do we think Jfilipeg is a sticker or a switcher?
Um, what deck of Jfilipeg's got banned?
The MM1. So his remaining one is the
Kota.
Kota.
So the question is that a better matchup? Both of the decks will have Customs Office,
Yep.
which could be funny. Whoever gets the Customs Office down first.
Could be pretty good.
Honestly, I have no idea.
I think the Coda might struggle because obviously you've got all of the sort of key cost increases and the big TMTP in Ratcot, and Countess doesn't have necessarily the best response.
Okay, we are into game two.
So Jfilipeg does switch.
No, he's stuck with Ice Cone.
Oh, sorry, stuck. It's been a long day, and it's 10 to 11.
We've been doing this for a while.
I marked like A exams today. I'm very much out of it.
Oh, dear.
All of my brain power went on this.
Okay, so Mentol's won the flip in his first player. They're just now considering their mulligans while we confirm that we are ready.
And we have something of a mirror match here because we have two Worlds Collide Logo Saurian Shadows decks.
Yes, this is going to be interesting.
Both of which would have a colossal amount of Ember control in them. Both of which have many ways to ramp up the key cost. So I'm very glad they set a timer on this because I think this could go for... This game could be long. This could be real long. Jfilipeg on the top, starting off with a Brand.
It's Mentol on top.
Mentol on top. Oh, I'm going to get this mixed up a whole bunch. These decks are quite similar.
Okay, so we have the counter Brand.
Okay, so it was not my fault that I got this mixed up.
Just a little bit out of time.
Does put a Dusk Runner on Jfilipeg's Brand, which makes it more of an ongoing threat. I think that probably is now something that needs removing. I wonder if he can do it before
Mentol go into a Logos turn, play down a Hologramophone. And Entropic Swirls to get rid of the Manchego. Gain some efficiency with a Daughter.
And a Sanitation Engineer.
Yeah, nice 4-card turn there.
Pretty handy. Goes up
Nice
to 7 cards with the Daughter.
Jfilipeg had got some of that last game.
Yeah, the Logos in Ice King is reasonable, but it's not the sort of most efficient Logos you'd ever see. That's the sort of thing you might have been looking for a bit earlier. Gonna whack something in the archives, go Thorium Plasmate the Daughter, just take it off the board. And
Mimic Gel's a Brand, so
oh boy. So
exciting.
Potential steal of 6 on the board. Doesn't have great ways to wipe it off himself necessarily. But obviously does make his board very resistant to board wipes. However, one of them is going to be instantly just oublietted. So that's one Brand out the way. Also plays a Ronnie for some steel, fights the Edi off the board with Brand, and then plays a Hawk and hawks his own Hologramophone, just for a bit of early burst. I guess just before it got hawked itself, that's presumably why. Just preventing that counter hawking.
And we've got some shuffling. Both
Indeed.
players shuffling some Shadow's goodness into their decks.
Yeah, although it was the Ronnie Wristclocks on Mental's side that got shuffled back in there, so Interesting call. Are going to get some Saurian out of Mentol. Gets the first key for 6, which is a pretty big deal in this key cost based game. And this matchup particularly is going to drop a gold Spiral. And it's considering his other Saurian options. Potentially weighing up an Axiom play to wipe out his own Brand.
Yes, in the Saurian there's quite a lot of ways of getting rid of the Brand, which is pretty good. So you've got Phalanx Strike and the 2 Axioms. So there are options available. But, I mean, he needs an extra creature to Phalanx Strike, and the chains perhaps aren't worth it for the Axiom right now, especially as there's the counter steal from the Mimic Gel. So Mentol weighing up his options now.
He's doing a think.
Doing a heckin' funk.
Having a big thunk.
Some more wine.
I will continue chugging Cola Light in a much less classy fashion. And so he's going to Axiom. Chooses to ward his own Brand and deal with the other Brand. Now he's going to Phalanx Strike his Brand to steal back.
Yep, really.
And 6-7. Oh,
that is a masterclass in
very
sequencing
well.
there.
Yeah, thought it through and played that beautifully. Took out his opponent's Brand to give him 3. Took out his own Brand to steal it back, leaving the Odoak with 2 Ember on it as the only creature on the board, so he hits with the 6 Ember. And is on check for key 2 with Jfilipeg on 0-0.
And,
Okay, lateral shifts the TMTP, which is pretty big, and will then tribute onto the Ludo to keep him off the key. And plays another Ludo, making that Ember extra hard to get back. So, a big swing back, but Mentol is a full key ahead here. He's going to drop a mini Logos board, some efficiency. So, I'm not sure about Jfilipeg, but I would be very tempted to just go Saurian again, run that Ludo into something immediately.
Yeah, potentially reap it, then Golden Spiral it to kill it on the Titan Guardian, get an extra Amber off it. But we'll see what the call is. Maybe he wants to play out some of his hand.
Yeah. And hitting the TMTP with the lateral shift is very big in terms of how Ratcot functions. Because when I've seen it previously, it's very much revolved around trying to hit that big TMTP hit. Just basically trying to make sure you push your opponent into going very high and steal it all back. Can't do that, and with not that much draw either, that'll be a while before we see that TMTP again.
So, Jfilipeg manages to kill that Praefectus Ludo with 6 Amber on, denying it from Mentol.
Very sensible. Just getting rid of that Ember while he can. It's just going to take another Logos turn from Mentol. Steals, reaps with Sanitation Engineer, discards, puts down another Sanitation Engineer for a little bit more cycling. Jfilipeg back into Logos is going to take out one of the Engineers with Thorium Plasmate, deal 2, puts Jar Goggle, puts something under Jar Goggle, but what is it? A mystery. And uses his own information exchange to steal 2 back.
This reminds me of the slap fight in Final Fantasy VII. Just like back and forth, completely the same.
It is a Spider-Man meme come to Keyforge.
Yes. Yeah, that is a more appropriate comparison.
Mentol is going to drop an Edai. And this is the thing. So here he will be wanting to set up a TMTP and we want to archive it with the Edai, but can't because it's been lateral shifted away. I think a second game we've demonstrated the ridiculous power of that card. And I do not look forward to the set that is actually in. Couple of reaps with the Sanitation Engineer, discards some big Saurians.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose when you've got the logo sufficiency out, you don't necessarily want to be setting up a Saurian turn, especially when you're that far ahead.
Yeah, Jfilipeg doing some logos of his own. He's going to fight with the Jar Goggle, take out the Sanitation Engineer, and just play a Simon.
And that gets the Titan Guardian out of the flank, so it will now give the benefit.
And puts Simon behind Taunt, which is good because obviously in a deck with a lot of dinos, Simon can potentially be very handy. I'm going to get Logos from Mentol. Wonder if he has the key lock here.
I mean, either way, this is going to be good. He's continually filtering his hand with that sanitation engineer, so getting a lot of value from that. And
uses Thorium Plasmate to unward the Hapsis.
Keeps the Titan engineer in the centre of the eye. Excuse me.
But that does let him fight Simon off the board. He's going to drop an E-die. That's going to be a big no to the key cost there. We have not seen the Gallum yet, so I've got to think he's trying to push towards making Jfilipeg pay 9, but obviously Jfilipeg is not interested in doing that, and so we'll take a nice simple Logos turn and just punch E-die off the board and reap with Hapsis. Sticks at 7.
So Jfilipeg doing a really good job in this game of controlling the board, using the tools he has to control Amber.
We also have a contribution from chat from Sergio David Santos saying that Jargoggle, Simon into Jargoggle is classic Jfilipeg, signature move. And some pretty good steal there from Mentol because he plays a Ronnie Wristlock to steal 2, Chimera Eclipse to get rid of both of them, and then Trust No One to steal again. We will see a counter Ronnie from Jfilipeg.
The double counter Ronnie.
And a Trust No One. And 2 Ronnies, in fact. 2 Ronnies and a Trust No One compared to another Ronnie Trust No One turn.
And gets the extra Amber off of the Logos plant, which is now taunted.
He does.
And we got the counter Simon.
Counter Simon, and he hits the key lock to make Jfilipeg pay 9. And so we are on to 1 key apiece, having had a whole bunch of nonsense very quickly.
Yep, this is very silly.
It's just such a mirror match.
It's like the exact same deck.
It's rare that you see it. We note this because it's very rare that you see this in Keyforge, right? It's a game with many archetypes, many functional competitive decks. But it's very hard not to note that these are very similar, both in the cards that are in them and how they play the game.
Okay, so Titan Guardian has made Titan Guardian fight Titan Guardian to proc Titan Guardian.
And another gain from the Logos plant. Doing work, the Logos plant. And we have an E-die from Jfilipeg. Archives into the card, pushes up the key cost a little bit more. Saurian from Mentol. Gotta feel like an Axiom of Grisk is coming. As I don't think we've seen either of them.
Yes, this would be a good time. And there goes the Grisk. Procs Mentol's Titan Guardian, draws him 2 more cards.
He's just going to tribute onto the Tricerian Legionary. Does not exalt because no real protection for it. We also saw the golden. We also saw Golden Spiral's. Mentol's Golden Spiral get hocked a little bit earlier, which is noticeable. So 1 key apiece, edge slightly in Mentol's favor with the Axiom. Long way to go yet.
Yep. And feels like the opposite of Snag's Mirror has happened. You know, you have to pick the same house as your opponent did last turn.
It's going to play a Ludo, Tricerian Legionary, wards the Legionary, as Mentol also just did. We have a Rita Gallum come down behind the Taunt, ready to rack up those key costs on a continual basis. Has the Spiral, is going to stomp Tricerian Legionary first, and then presumably spiral the Legionary into the Legionary. And Chantifubris something onto the Simon. Goes to nice. 6. That's a nice combo. We are going to get Shadows from Mentol. It's going to play Inky Gloom. Drops the Customs Office. Plays a Ronnie. Just dings the Tricerian Legionary back onto the deck. Hugger Mugger to capture. So takes Jfilipeg off check. Takes him down to 4. Goes to 6. And with the Inky Gloom stopping the reaping, that turns off the Rita Gallum for the time being.
Yes. So, Jfilipeg's going into a Saurian turn anyway.
Could just be playing a second Rita Gallum. Very possible. And there it is.
I guess now you still get some decent fights with the other two, right?
You do. So you get rid of Simon, fight the Ronnie off the board.
And I was expecting a golden spiral. Oh, it's elusive, of course.
Yeah, so... Okay, so Saurian board. Ready to reap and make the key cost very high. Both players now onto their reshuffle. 1 key apiece, about the same number for both of them. We are going to get a tribute. That's come back very quickly off the top of the deck. He's going to chant of hubris, something onto the Gallum. He's going to play a Gallum of his own.
Yeah, very similar game.
Goes to 8. So, I mean, this game is going to come down to who can make the other person pay most for keys, I think.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, Jfilipeg's definitely in a better position for that right now, having just taunted one of the Raider Gallums.
But had a rougher time with it. A rougher time with it earlier, paying 9 with the key lock. However, the TMTP is now back in the deck from Mentol's side of things, which could be what tips it if he can get a big TMTP off. Uses Rita Gallum to fight Rita Gallum. Goes to 6. Makes the keys cost 9 for Mentol, and basically says, what do you got?
Yeah, again, Jfilipeg doing a very good job of controlling the board so that the board's stuff can't happen. It wasn't very descriptive, but...
a sneaky information exchange to steal 1 to take him off check, and to put Mentol himself on 9. Drops a sanitation engineer. I think now considering whether to drop an E-die, perhaps, and does nothing. Jfilipeg goes back into Sorin, so I think he's going to fight some stuff off the board, put down another Ludo.
Yeah, and he can double Gallum to stop Mentol from forging.
Interesting to see whether he does here. I think so, but I could see a case where you just make him pay 9. But I think he probably will go again, because in a game where it's all about stopping keys, as this one massively is, then letting someone forge any key at all is a reasonable setback.
And Jfilipeg wants to draw back into his tribute so that he can, tribute onto one of his creatures and run it into one of Mentol's just to deny the amber. So
is going to spiral with the Gallum, but does not exalt. So we are going to see the key forged for 9. And then drops the key lock immediately afterwards. That's a huge moment in the game, I think, because now that key lock is going to do all the work in setting up the TMTP on Mentol's side, and he got to avoid it because Jfilipeg let him forge for 9. So we're going to see some stealing. We're going to see some things returned to the deck, specifically Ronnie with Chimera Eclipse. Loses a Ludo, but keeps it on the board, and is going to drop down the Logos plant. So, is that check for 9? What's Mentol got? I think if he can stop this key for maybe one more turn, he could be in a very strong position. Is going to hit the Chimera Eclipse, going to play an Inky Gloom. No, can't stop it. Puts down the Brand, makes him pay the full 9 with the key lock for the second time this game.
And goes straight into a Logos turn. Gets the E-die down. Archives a card, pushes that key cost up.
So I think this game could still go anyway. Both players on 2 keys, low amount of Ember. Both midway through the second run of the deck.
And Jfilipeg pays 1 to be able to play the Hologramophone.
Very reasonable, I think, with the E-die knocking about and other things you might want to ward. Saurian from Mentol hits the Axiom, steals with his own Brand, 6 Sempers, the Trisarian Legionary remaining, and discards the second Axiom. So a rough draw there, drawing both Axioms at once. But potentially worth it for the steal with the Brand. So, Jfilipeg a bit behind. Close game so far, but very back and forth.
So Jfilipeg goes back into shadows, plays out Simon, hawks the hologramophone. Passes
Mentol's
turn.
hologramophone.
Yeah.
So Simon dies immediately to an entropic swirl. Mentol plays an Edai and a daughter. And with
And
an
it's on
entropic swirl,
check.
goes to check at 6. Jfilipeg goes into Logos. Does have an information exchange, does have an Edai potentially. It's going to thorium plasmate the Edai. Move it to the other side. It's going to play a second thorium plasmate to move it back. Take it out. Hasn't stopped the key yet. Does need to do that. Plays a jar goggle. And, whoa, okay. Information exchange, stealing 1. So, turn 19. 2 keys, 5 ember apiece. We are down to the wire, ladies and gentlemen. And everyone in between. Close game. So different from the last one, which was like racy race. Just been back and forth the whole time.
Yeah, it's been absolutely neck and neck, and both players pursuing a very similar strategy.
Yeah. Gotta remember that Jfilipeg has 42 keys and paid 9 for both of them. And Mentol paid 9 for one of his keys. So, 33 ember spent on keys. 4 keys forged. We are going to see some Saurians from Mentol. He's going to put down a Pterodactyl. Just phalanx strike the jar goggle to get rid of that. Goes to 6.
Yeah.
And says, what do you got?
So, what was in the box? What was in the jar Google?
Always risky. It's going to go Logos. So both information exchanges are now gone. Steals 1. Plays an Edai. Wards the Edai. Puts Mentol's keys up to 9 and goes to 6 himself and check for key 3 and the game win.
Yeah,
Worth
so
noting, I think from Jfilipeg, we have not yet seen the lateral shift on the second go around. Could be very big towards the end of the game. And we have not seen the too much to protect from Mentol on the second go around. So potentially a situation where the TMTP gets lateral shifted for a second time.
It's a bit of a game of chicken at this point, if the last
A
shift
little
is there,
bit,
right?
yeah. I would probably put money on that one card in Mentol's archives being TMTP. Especially having been burned the first time around. He's going Saurian, so we're going to see perhaps a Gallon, perhaps a Tribute. And Odawak takes 1 away from him. Does not go to check, however. So Jfilipeg gets a turn to essentially do something. Not sure what you do here, because you know the TMTP is a risk. The Trust No One is also still knocking about, so it does have a way to bring him down to 6 and off 6. Both players having to play incredibly carefully here, I think. Picks up the archives to go Saurian. That's very interesting. Edai no longer doing anything. He's going to play the lateral shift.
Here we go.
Okay.
What's he gonna grab?
You're feeling lucky, punk? And the thing is, yeah, now we'll see his full hand. And we'll have an idea of what Ember control he has available. What can he do? And how much can he stop him?
And you do have a 1 in 5 chance of guessing what's in the archive as well. Oh, he
gonna...
plays an Edai!
Okay, potentially very big. Gives him some archiving, takes it away from Mentol. Lateral Shift is a ridiculous card. Soken. Oof. Yeah. Soken got a couple of the cards. Can Golden Spiral to get to 6. What's Mental got if he loses that E-die?
Hmm. Okay, Skewsum goes on the warded E-die.
Stomps the Odoak.
Okay, so Steel is now back on.
Generally good to know if you're Jfilipeg. Yeah, I guess the question is that going to tribute onto the E-die with the Scutum on it?
That
That
Ember is
Ember just
gone.
not coming back. That is big. Goes to 10. And a Ludo.
Just for good measure.
So, does Mentol have the TMTP here? Because I think he now needs it. I don't necessarily see another way out. Shadows very quickly, pixels the archives very quickly. So I've got to assume there is a TMTP a coming.
Okay.
Oubliettes.
His own E-die? Yes.
Oh, that's so unfortunate because obviously he could have got the other one if it wasn't warded.
It's very sad.
Oh, that's so sad. Goes to 7. Jfilipeg goes Shadows. I think a Ronnie could seal it. And there it is. Hawks the customs office, goes to 9. Steals 2 with Manchego.
And
another
one.
Ronnie. Brute. So I had to get rid of that Odoak. And there it is. Lateral shift. I think playing an MVP role.
Yeah, that shift was massive in that matchup.
Oof, both times, yeah.
You know, when you've got two decks that are the same, if one person can take the best card out of the other person's hand, then it's a big swing.
Big oof right there. So, 1-1. Comes down to Coda versus Worlds Collide.
Yep, so we got the Agent of Ratcot against
the Countess Bentactwiz Holmes.
And this is going to be great because this is another customs office off.
I think there have been... I may just be noticing this more because I played a deck with 9 artifacts in, but I've seen so many customs offices in this tournament. It's like an above average amount, given it's a rare in one set. Okay, so we're down to a decider.
Okay, Jfilipeg going first.
Spec cans are on, which they shouldn't be. We should probably do something about that, right?
Panic.
As much as I enjoy Spec Hands commentary, more than
I have no delay on this stream, so that would be very bad.
Yes, so unfortunately, we are going to have to redo that. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't even look at their hands. I don't know if they had a good hand or what.
Jfilipeg had a lot of untamed in that opening hand.
There we go. That's the right tab. Okay.
A whole bunch of it.
Well, you know, I'm just glad that we caught it before they mulliganed or anything.
Yeah. But yeah, he lost an opening hand with 6 untamed cards, I think, out of 7.
I'll have to check the VOD.
It's unfortunate. I hope that doesn't come back to haunt him later.
Okay.
Alright. Take 2. Let's see if we have...
Right. Let's go.
Close down.
So, as we said, Agent of Ratcots. Mentol wants to be the first player.
So, we shall depart. Who is the first player? Yep.
Oh, Oh, they can't rematch. They've got to remake. While they're doing this, let's have a look at Countess Bentovitz Holmes, who we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, so Countess Bentactwis Holmes is some classic Cody. You've got a Dis with an Arise and 7 Dis creatures, as well as like a Poltergeist, Mind Bard, some Gateways. A Shadows that's mostly stealing, triple Nerve Blast, Relentless Whispers, Bait and Switch, and then an Untamed that is sort of a lot of, not necessarily as bursty as you might expect, but like lots of very handy tools. Stuff like Nepseed, Grasping Vines, Curiosity could be potentially big to take out E-Dies on the other side of the board.
Oh yeah, that sounds excellent.
As well as something like an Ancient Bear to get around wards.
Yeah, and there's a huge amount of spot removal in this deck as well. So you've got Pawn Sacrifice, Long Fused Mines, and those 3 Nerve Blasts. It's huge.
Yeah, as well as
check if
double
they've started
gate.
the game properly. Well, I've got this
yeah.
tab open.
They're starting. I'm just waiting for them to click start.
Okay.
Yeah, Bentactwis has 18 creature control, and I think really shows. But it does have negative 3.5 speed, which is one of the slowest decks I've ever seen. Although the 9.1 recursion is pretty handy. So you could just be very vulnerable to draws in a way that makes that super good Untamed hand just that extra bit harsh. We have some Coda fans in the chat. Seb talking about how he loves to see it, which is my usual co-commentator's catchphrase, so it's why I try and stay away from that. I love to see nothing. I have no luck. All right, so do we now have...
Hold on.
Okay, so we're going to try and fix this manual way. A quote from the chat, Felipe is still crying about that draw. Yeah, it's pretty rough. We are fixing the turn thing
Let's
manually.
just
at this
manual
point.
it.
I'm never convinced that that's proper. I've been told it's proper and it works out properly.
Well, it should be
But
fine
it confuses
because
my brain too
Jfilipeg
much.
will draw 1 fewer card.
No, I fully believe this and everything. It's too my brain.
I mean, I'm surprised I can do this having drunk half a bottle of wine.
Brain has only 1 card.
After the start. Okay, that's fine.
We'll get there, folks.
Okay. Now. Yay! Okay.
Okay.
Right, we're there. We've got it.
So now Jfilipeg passes.
No, don't switch it on! No!
There's so much clicking happening.
Here we go. Okay.
Okay.
Jfilipeg passes turn 1, and then Mentol gets to go first, and then everything is hunky-dory.
But what if he wants to mulligan?
He can mulligan.
But then...
Because he'll go down to 5 cards. Because of the chain.
That's
Yeah.
what I mean. Okay, whatever.
It's fine.
Med-
It's fixed now. Everything is fine.
Okay, Mentol's go first. He has played a pterodactyl. The game is now happening, everybody.
It's happening! Oh, the terror!
Coming in with the terror. Discards the Drumble, just wants that off the board, ready to Arise or Nepseed at a later date.
Yep, really unfortunate to get in an opening hand, but, you know, it's fine. Mentol going straight back into the Saurian, plays down an Odoak, taunts it with the Tricerian Legionary.
And that warded Odoak could be very big.
And discards a Grisk.
Yeah, doesn't want the chains, nothing to really remove.
Yeah.
We're getting Untamed from Jfilipeg, who's going to drop down an angry crab. Sorry, a moderately angry crab. Um, and it's just going to play a curiosity. So Simon coming down. Gets to play a brand. He's going to oubliette the Mamook,
Oh,
which is
no crabs for Jfilipeg.
that's a good hit. We are having some discussion in the chat about how we're like really wrong about the things and how it all works fine,
Ugh,
and I'm sure it does, but I
whatever.
just don't trust. I don't trust it. It's not my Keyforge. You remake games constantly, like real Keyforge players. None of this
But they tried like 3
manual.
times. I haven't got enough time for this. It's 20 past 10. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Odoak already coming down big because obviously we just see a nerve blast just fully discarded.
Bait and switch does nothing.
It does nothing.
Very sad.
And Countess is going to be looking for that creature control at this point, I think. So obviously, if this Saurian board sticks around,
It will be a bad time.
and he's just going to Axiom, getting rid of the Brand. Steals 3, goes to 7. Keeps the Gallum alive by exalting it and leaves it behind. Tricerian Legionary. Odoak remains wooded. Ooh, that's a big hit. So hits the Mind Barb, hits the 6 Semper, so no combo there. Gateways a couple of things. Odoak lives and just discards the Poltergeist because he does not want to hit his own customs office. Wants to stick in the board. And Mentol gets the first key. So no logos here, and it's just going to archive some things.
Yep.
It archives one thing. Just puts
He's
down an E-die.
saving up something.
He's got some plans and some schemes. Jfilipeg just going to drop a Long Fuse Mines and a Shadow Self.
Yep, got some schemes of his own. Okay, so Keylock comes down, pushes Jfilipeg's cost up to 10. Jfilipeg goes into an untamed turn. It's going to get a lot of burst here.
But obviously still very far off check, giving Mentol that time to find the TMTP that he's presumably looking for. Pays 1 to put down his own customs office.
Yep, now the customs are happening.
Because he gets to steal 2 with Ronnie Wristlocks there. Very nice. Just cycling through some of the shadows, stealing some member of his own, and he's a full key ahead at this point. But we've seen this before, the last match. Gonna have a Way of the Bear on the world's most aggressive Dust Pixie. Long Fuse Mines goes off, which means he can now assault with the Dust Pixie.
Sorry, Cal, can you take over all the commentary? I've just got to do something quickly.
Sure, yeah. Jfilipeg plays down a Witch of the Eye behind the Shadow Self, which is potentially pretty big. Could be seeing that a lot. So we're going to see some shadows from Mentol. Hawks, Jfilipeg's customs office. Reaps with the Hugger Mugger. And Kymor Eclipse gets rid of the Witch of the Eye, potentially a problem. He's now at 7 himself. And so both kind of edging around the Universal Keylock at this point. Jfilipeg is going to go Dis. Haven't seen Dis for a while, so he's going to toss the Gateway. Puts a Snudge down behind the Shadow Self, which is a big problem. And he's going to Arise. Returns the Terror and Drumble. And is therefore going to get that hit. Just puts the Drumble behind the Shadow Self. Plays the Terror. Gets to Ember. Goes to check on 9. The price one was paid with Universal Keylock. Mentol is going to go Logos. Can he take him off 9 to push him up even further? We have seen 1 E-die. There is a second E-die. It's just taking a moment to think. Obviously, games are going very quick so far. Jfilipeg now allowing him to turn manual on because he picked the wrong house. Very fair. Most people will allow takebacks if it's not something a mistake you can make in house. And there we see the Team Witch to protect. So gets the steal of 3 with that. However, that disboard is sticking and is nasty because we could now see a Snudge returning a Drumble to hand for some extra capture, or just bouncing either the customs office or the hologramophone or the breaker hill, perhaps. Lots of irritating things that could be bounced. For example, player Shula gets a steal of 1. Charette captures. Could have done that on the other side and bounced the Terror for 2 Ember there, but it's just going to return the Breaker Hill and Reap with the Terror. Go to 10 and get a second hologramophone. Going to get a daughter, it's going to play some Logos cards, and it's just going to make Jfilipeg Forge for the full 9. So 1 key apiece, 1 Ember apiece. Jfilipeg coming in with the better disboard, but is going Shadows.
Back.
Or is not going Shadows. Is in fact misclicked. So we're going to get some manual mode shenanigans, and I think he's going to go Dis.
Yes, the display looks very sensible here.
Looks
Snudge on the
good,
Drumble is always nice.
The Snudge behind the Shadow Self could be very problematic. Especially as as Mentol has gone through both of his axioms here. They both went pretty early, so he's going to have problems getting rid of a lot of this stuff. And with the ability to constantly bounce the Drumble.
Yeah, it's very disgusting.
Now to see some Saurians out of Mentol. He's going to tribute.
Just the once, though.
Yeah, because 6 Emperor's already gone. It also wouldn't work with the Shadow Self. He's just going to stack some Ember around with the chance of hubris. Jfilipeg seemingly in control here, I think. Because without the big removal, he's going to keep using this board.
Yep, and he can constantly bounce his own Snudge, or he can bounce Mentol's things, that's also
Yeah,
cool.
he's just slowing down that draw.
Yeah, and back up to check already.
Just very nastily taking over this board.
Mentol's gonna get rid of the Drumble.
And interesting. So it goes to 12. And there's no big steal in Bentactwiz, so nothing to punish him. He's going to go Shadows nonetheless, so we are going to see some steal. Could be coming to a close here, because I think Mentol's running out of answers.
Yep, so Jfilipeg goes straight into a Shadows turn. He's still got that Shadow Self on the board, so he reaps with that.
What's he got left in terms of the Shadows?
Lots
A whole
of
bunch.
steel.
Got some. He's going to pawn sacrifice something. Terror. Leaves the Sanitation Engineer ready to be relentlessly whispered. Nerve Blast as well.
Yeah, and if he keeps chipping away at that Titan Guardian, it's not going to get a draw effect, so...
Discards the Oubliette. Relentless Whispers, which takes him up to 7. So, what's Mentol got left? I'm thinking it's not very much. Galum is gone. TMTP is gone. Tribute is gone. 1 Edai will not do it. Has gone to Shadows. So could be seeing some wrist clock related shenanigans. We're going to trust no one to steal 1. Hugger Mugger to capture 1. Breaker Hill comes down, but that's it. Doesn't get to check himself, and that is looking bad for Mentol.
I mean, once again, neck and neck. 2 keys, 5 amber apiece.
Same as in the last game. Same back and forth.
I mean, Jfilipeg's still in a very good position here. You've got the Snudge ability. If he filters through his hand, he's got the Arise on the Drumble. Just has to make sure
the Arise is gone already. Okay. Yeah, so he himself is running out of answers. Could just take a Dis turn here, and is going to do that.
Yeah, I mean the Charette's looking quite precarious at this point.
Yeah.
Very vulnerable.
Could choose to reap, bounce it, and put it behind the shadow self.
That is true. That is an
Which would
option.
be a tricksy play, but obviously just bouncing one of Mentol's creatures is, I think, equally as good.
He's having a good think.
Don't know what else Mentol's got left here is the problem.
Well, he's only got 6. We can work out exactly what he's got in his hand.
Oh, we can. I'm always really bad at this.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And that might be what Jfilipeg is now thinking
8,
about.
9, 10. So there's 2 Saurian cards.
There's an E-die.
Yep. He's got an E-die in hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 4 Logos cards, including an E-die.
An Entropic Swirl.
Yep, he does have Phalanx Strike in hand.
There we go. Thank you to the chat. 1-star peeps, 5-star games. We do have to also count the artifacts. This is why I never do this.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 Logos cards. So there's 4 in hand. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All of the shadow cards are in the discard pile, so
There's a fair chance here that if Jfilipeg can he just go to like 8? He's gonna return the Breaker Hill.
I mean, this is a boon that we have from online play, right? You couldn't do
yeah.
this. I mean, you could pick up someone's discard pile and rifle through it. It is public information.
Goes to 8. Jfilipeg saying GG. I don't understand why. Is he being cocky or conceding or what's happening? We're gonna see the Tropic Swirl.
There's bad manners.
A little bit. He's gonna get in there though.
Yep. And Jfilipeg wins game 3 and progresses to the top 8 of the KFPL season 2.
Yeah, Rodion pointing out he did count his cards and knew that 8 was enough for a win, but still. Just let it play out. Yeah, 3 excellent games, as Mentol is pointing out. All of them down to the wire. Like at the very, especially the last 2, at the very end, 3-2 incredibly narrow games. I think the 2 early axioms just getting away from the Mentol, and this one needed to be able to wipe off that disboard before he could reap a whole bunch, as he did. The 2 of them noting how tough it was.
Yeah, so brilliant set of games. The mirror match was absolutely crazy.
Oh my god. I couldn't imagine what playing that game must have been like. The amount of like sheer tension involved.
Okay, so I'll ring these guys. Hold on.
I'll remember to pick up the.
You did it.
I did it.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
It's so tough.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how are you both feeling after that marathon?
Yeah. To be honest, I wasn't feeling anything special, but when the game ended, I just felt the relief, and I just knew I was in a lot of tension. But very well played, Mentol.
Yeah, you too. That 2 last game was super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say we had a whale of a time commentating it. Although I will level with you, our commentary on the mirror match in the second game was a bit of a mess.
Yeah, it was not great.
How did you guys feel playing essentially very similar decks against one another in that second game?
That was strange.
Yeah,
Especially pick card on my deck with lateral shift, so
yeah. What I felt was they are pretty similar, but w- what misses in mine, which is board control, Mental has a lot, so it has the advantage there. But mine has all the duplicate great cards that Mental doesn't have. So that's the big difference there, and that's why I felt good in that matchup, uh, especially going until the end or near the end, and having seen the six Emperor and the tribute. Um, that felt good, but still, I needed to take a risk on the lateral shift that time, just to get the too much to protect, or even an Eddie would be.
yeah, clearly lateral shift make a great difference.
Yeah. But the first game felt very, very bad for me. I think the first 4 rounds, I'm not sure. I was always playing logos and drawing logos. So it was a mess.
Yeah, you seem to be suffering from a lot of sort of 2-2-2 hands, and then faced against brutal logo sufficiency on the other side.
Yeah, if I recall correct, I think I mulliganed because I had the 2-2 hand, and I still didn't have a great hand, but I think I had an Eddie and another logos card. So because on that matchup, I I I felt good on that matchup, but I needed to go quicker. But so I felt good with that 3 card hand, or Eddie plus 1 logos card. But after that, always 2-2-2, always drawing logos was too hard for me. Still, the game in the end looked close just because lateral shift got the Chota.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we thought might drag you over the line, just taking out this Choda. But
Yeah.
then it was followed up by giant logo burst.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
not sure how that got so big, but
So how did you feel when that lateral shift came down and took the Choda out of the deck, Mentol?
Yeah, it was okay. I will do without Chota. It will be difficult, but I will. My main fear was lateral shift on like soldier to flower and Chota. That was okay.
Yeah, it's just such a powerful card. I still can't believe they printed it as a thing. I'm not looking forward to the set that's actually in.
yeah, the thing is they have yet to print it in a proper.
Yeah, it's coming at some point.
Yeah, but I think it's more stressful to play against, but it's in tight matchups where you have a couple of targets. It's also very unsettling, I think, just to should I play it now? Should I take a risk? And but still the effect is very powerful, and it
Yeah.
helps a lot, that deck, which has some big issues, but that card helps the deck function.
So, Mentol, you've unfortunately now been knocked out by
Yeah.
the UAP player. How was your KFPL experience overall? Have you enjoyed it? Has it been good?
Yeah, that was super nice. Every time great. Also, like first time on stream and also doing interview. That was yeah super nice and always a great game. We have seen a lot of great deck. Yeah, that was super good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as I say, the quality's been intense overall. How are you feeling about the next round?
Not great.
Yeah, you play the MVP.
Yeah.
You do want to play Shaka, who has now lost a match It did happen.
He's not invincible. The spell has been broken.
He is mortal after all. George took a game off him.
If I could, if I don't know, my hope is that Shaka mistypes the ban and I get lucky on the second match.
We'll see
I
if that
don't
happens.
know. The thing is, his three decks are really, really tough.
They are pretty intense. So you guys both went for very similar bans. What led you to both ban the MM decks?
From my side, so I was pretty sure that Shan will be banned, and so in the practice, like that was a bad matchup for Bertrand, a bad matchup for Radcott. So yeah, I decided to ban the mass mutation.
Yeah, on my side, I also thought that the mass mutation would be banned. I was not sure if Mentol would ban my what's called deck just because the matchup with the AOA deck didn't felt really really good for him when I practice, but it's still a very tough deck to play with. But what I practiced one time against the MM deck with my Worlds Collide deck, which has some problems working around big boards, and that deck just it's really builds big boards really quick. So I had to ban it.
Fair enough. And we have seen Eaton's Jar facing many a ban for that reason alone.
Yeah, I'm not. The deck has an Eaton's Jar probably, but it was not for that. It was for the Graviton plus all the creatures. It felt really bad because I can, if I'm lucky, I can lateral shift an Eaton's Jar. So
Oh, God. I hadn't even thought about that. Oh, just fully take that away. I do have to, prompted by Jupiter, ask you how you felt after the open hands moment in Game 3.
oh, I felt really bad because I'm not sure if you saw my hand, but
We did briefly, yes.
it was a terror. So I was playing first. I had 7 cards. It was a terror. A Shadows card. I think it was on sacrifice, and then the rest was untamed with the Nepenthe Seed and the Dust Pixie. And so, and I think another Amber Pit at least. So it was it was a shame, but still, I think I managed to play well. But the other hand, I got.
Yeah, I mean, it went pretty well. So I think that just about wraps it up, as I'm starting to flag as it's midnight. Thank you both for coming on. Congratulations, Jfilipeg. Congratulations, Mentol.
Yeah, congrats.
A
Thank you.
superb set of games from both of you. It's very enjoyable to watch. Hopefully, it was enjoyable for our lovely audience to watch as well. A couple of great games to keep watch. Well played by all around.
Thank you, and congrats on your performance, Mental. I saw not only in this game, but I saw most of the games that were recorded from you, and you played really well. And,
Thanks.
So
Good luck for the next.
I am all too familiar with that.
yeah, I saw a couple against you.
Yeah. Okay, well, we will tune in the future, see if Jfilipeg can take out Shaka, who I think
We
is the
hope.
current favorite, let's say. And in the meantime, I have been Callum, the good Dr. Young from Screechborn Commentaries. I've been joined by my lovely co-commentator.
Yep. I know I've been quite quiet, but congratulations, Jfilipeg, commiserations, Mentol. Thanks for a great set of games. Thanks, Callum, for coming on.
Thanks for having me on. It's been great. Well, we have no Top Cut KFPL games tomorrow because everyone's pretty much playing in the qualifier that's happening that evening. But we are back on Sunday with 5 games happening on Sunday. starting right here on Lots of Muffins on Twitch, where Muffins is being joined by another member of Team Screech Bomb at 9:30 EST or 1:30 UTC. We will remind you close to the time when precisely that is happening. And that kicks off a full day where Screech Bomb Classic will be back, as well as commentary on the American side of things from Z and Justice Blinded, and Jupiter and Z rounding up off the last two games across various Twitch things. Hopefully you'll join us for that. In the meantime, I will sign off. Thanks for coming, guys. And good night to one and all.
Yeah, good night. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.